next session is an update on the zPRO product from our friends James Vincent and Rich Smrcina from Velocity Software. So over to you guys.
Thanks, Bill. This is not going to be a typical presentation. We don't have any prepared PowerPoint remarks or anything of that nature.
Aww.
This is essentially, yeah, I know you're all broken up about that. This is essentially going to be a live demo, and James and I will just banter back and forth and talk about the topics as they come up. My name is Rick Smrcina. I'm with Velocity Software, as we know from the title. And I've been with Velocity for about 11 years. I do a lot of customer support primarily, some development with a couple of the components that are part of the product suite. And when the world is in its right mind, we go out and visit customers, and I'm itching to get out and see people again. James, talk about yourself, please.
All right. Well, I am James Vincent still. I've been with Velocity since 2017, mid 2017, so not very long. I'm not the new guy anymore, thank goodness. But I am a youngster in terms of longevity here. I've worked with Velocity for a long time, probably since near the time they first came out with the product. So I'm well aware of it. But zPRO is my passion and yeah, pretty much my baby. So. Since I did so much provisioning development type work in my previous job, it just was a natural transition for me to pick up zPRO. And like Rich, I'm ready to get back out there and visit customers and go to the VM workshop in person and share in person and all that good stuff. So,
indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, the Velocity Software has been around for well over 30 years. We started out in 1988. With the express purpose of providing performance management software and expertise to the ZVM platform. It's evolved over time. It's included Linux about 20 years ago when Linux came out, and most recently ZOS, but we're not going to talk about that now. We also do provide support for VSE monitoring. We have a couple hundred customers or more all around the world on 6 continents. And as soon as the first mainframe is shipped to Antarctica, we're going to see if we can get on that mainframe somehow. With that, I think we are going to get started.
So what is the meat of this topic? What are we talking about?
The meat of this topic is that, well, we typically use zPRO for creating and cloning Linux virtual machines and managing those virtual machines. Well, we've pretty much covered a lot of that at this point. And zPRO is now, we are taking a little different stride with zPRO, and we're creating some fun tools for ZVM system programmers. As Mark Whatley says in the Martian, we're going to zPRO the shit out of this, which means we're going to create a lot of fun tools and a lot of interesting features for ZVM system programmers that they can use. And go ahead, James.
Well, I was going to say, along with the Martian tagline that we stole, do you know what our new tagline is?
Oh, yes, you mentioned this the other day.
Yeah, I can tell you. I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, please give me a hint.
So we innovate and automate, not to eliminate, but to invigorate the ZVM platform.
Very fancy, very fancy. I think James came out with that all by himself. Awesome. Well, we're going to start by asking James to sign on to zPRO here, and we're going to get past some of the automatic stuff that comes up, and you'll notice on the left-hand side here we have this ZVM administration menu. And there's a lot of functions in there for your ZVM system programmers, and we're going to start with SFS, the shared file system. With the SFS application, we can display any of the file pools that are available on the system. And we'll notice that on the right-hand side, this last column under Authorized, there are some terms there that might need some explanation. James?
Oh, you want me to explain that, huh? Well, oftentimes, if I'm looking at this too quickly and I don't necessarily remember what it is, you slide up here to this little blue button with the question mark, and you pull that bad boy up. So those terms down here are the authorized terms. This is what the zAdmin user ID is authorized for on that particular pool server. And that determines what zAdmin, as the administrator of with zPRO, is allowed to do on those SFS file pools. So admin's full access. So zAdmin can do everything needed and everything, you know, that a systems programmer would basically need to do on a file pool. Users just a general access. So zAdmin has a user definition in that pool. So you can probably do limits and a few other queries. Limited is, strangely enough, that determines or shows that they have probably a what do you call it, POSIX entry in their directory. So they have a POSIX entry, and that particular file pool has BFS file systems. So it has a limited access. So that's a nutshell of that column.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. So each of those file pools, the third column there shows the file pool name, and you can select the file pool and take some sort of action with the buttons on the bottom. So go ahead and select one, and then let's list the users. So what we're going to see is we're going to see all the users that are that have space on this file pool of some sort or other. And you can see under the column here, %committed, that a couple of those users are getting close to their limit. And who's this Smrcina guy?
Seriously.
What's Smrcina sucking up all this space
besides the fact that it needs a vowel in the last name there. How can we tell what they're using? Like, where are they sucking all that up?
I would suspect you can select Smrcina from the list or the user ID and click on list directories.
Can't click delete.
Don't delete them. Don't delete them. Come on, be nice.
So he's got one directory.
And again, well, what you're going to see here is all the directories under that user in the file pool, so that you can hopefully see if there are multiple directories, what directories are taking up all the space. You can also select one of the directories and show the files. Don't delete the directory. You're just destructive, aren't you? And you can see which files are in the pool, or in that directory, I should say, and how much space they're taking up.
And since I really want to press the red button, you can delete files directly from, and poof, if you go back and look, hey, he's not using 99% of the pool anymore. For his space. Yeah. So the other thing that you can also do from here is view files. So you can actually view the content of files before you delete them if you really wanted to. And in true SFS fashion, if you really also wanted to, you can list authorizations against each file. So you can deal with the authorizations on files and directories.
It's like a security violation to me to view the file.
This is administrator only.
Yeah, okay.
Can someone mute the peanut gallery?
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate that. Another thing you could do is if the user, like this zweb log up here up on top, it is an actual working user. We're having fun with Smrcina, but don't delete the logs. Don't delete the logs. We want to update. You click on the update button there. You can actually modify the limit that that user would have, so that he could have more space since he appears to need it. So you could do that right on the fly. If you want to create a new file space. You could do that by clicking New.
New user. So yeah, definitely.
Will allow you to define a new file space and then give it access to a storage group and a certain number of blocks if he actually needs storage. A user doesn't have to have storage in order to access the file pool, but and there he is right there.
Yep.
No committed blocks.
Nope.
Okay.
And if you're feeling really out there like this oinky one using very little space but a lot of blocks, you can of course delete the users.
James likes hitting those red buttons.
I had to do that. I had to delete it.
Awesome. Well, let's go back to the main list and talk about administration. Admin. So we can show the administrators of a pool.
Oh. Yes, list admins.
And modify, add a new one or delete one. Delete that JSV dev because he doesn't need access. That's another James. No, maybe.
So it might look kind of weird at first, but in the comment section, an admin need not be a user or enrolled as a user in the file pool. So it's just letting you know whether or not the admin ID has user space defined also.
Exactly.
So again,
what would happen, James, if our file pool itself is running out of storage and we need to add a disk, because this is something that would take sometimes a fairly long time if you're doing this on a 3270.
Well, that's really funny because I was going to ask you, Rich, how many licks does it take to get to the center of adding a disk to a file pool? It's even for people that do this a lot.
Yes.
I'm pretty used to adding a disk to a file pool manually, but I often will have to go back and refresh my memory because there's multiple steps you have to go through.
Well, luckily we have it well documented, but this makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. And these file pools, depending on what you're doing, you can run out of space pretty quick, and you need to add a disk quickly to keep services going. And zPRO makes that so easy, literally push button. So you answer a few questions: how many cylinders to add, what file pool to pull it out of, or storage group to pull it out of, this type, device selection, and you click add, and zPRO does the rest.
And that file pool, that disk storage group that you mentioned, that refers to a Dermate storage group, or if you don't, or VM secure storage group.
Right.
Or if you don't have Dermate or VM secure, we provide a directory manager that will populate this list as well.
That's correct. Yep, absolutely.
We have a question in the chat. Rob says, I want to expand the size of a mini disk on a file pool. Do I have to regenerate the whole file pool?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. What you would typically do is you would just add a mini disk to that storage group in the file pool.
Right.
And SFS will just manage it. That's one of the beauties of SFS. You don't have to expand a mini disk. You can just add to it.
Right. And that's, if you look at the full report, which is, I'm probably stealing Rich's thunder, but the full report on any pool is going to show you all the nitty-gritty details. And in in some cases, you might see in the storage group section multiple disks, multiple mini disks on each storage group. So yeah, it's definitely better just to add a brand new disk and expand a storage pool as opposed to expanding a disk in a storage pool.
Exactly. Okay, that's all we have about, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Security. So security is always a good thing. And in
I think Brian Brooke is on it. I agree. So we'll just say yes for him.
That's right. So the one thing that I ran into or noticed really early on in learning about RACF is that RACF has a tendency to not be real good about cleaning up after itself. So, can you imagine that?
Oh,
So in a lot of cases, user IDs get created, a lot of rules get generated, and then sometime later somebody deletes the user ID because they don't need it anymore. And they totally don't think about or forget that RACF doesn't automatically clean up all those rules necessarily for the user that you just deleted. So
how can zPRO help?
how can zPRO help? One button solution, believe it or not. In a RACF environment, zPRO will show this little button that says Security Orphan UIDs. So it's going to go through the RACF database and pick out any user ID that is an orphan, or any rule that's an orphan to a user ID that does not exist anymore. And it's just going to show you a simple list and how many rules, security rules, are found for each orphaned user ID.
Can I see those rules?
What's that?
Can I see those rules?
Can you? No, I'm not going to show you any of these rules.
Okay.
Yes, you can definitely
thing, I'm sure.
view the rules just to see, what exactly was left dangling. This case, it was all the Minidis access rules for that particular user are sitting there. Yeah, I don't know if I have any cute examples or not, but this one's Minidis too. So you could have surrogate rules, you could have VM batch, whatever. So all those funky rules that you could define could be sitting there lingering. And right from here, if you really didn't want these IDs laying around anymore, and in a lot of cases you don't want them laying around anymore, because if today I go into our system and say, rack add user full VM7.1, well, guess what? It just inherited all these rules, and you probably don't want to do that.
Yep.
So you can delete all of them at once, which I'm not going to do because these are demos. But you can go in and just delete them, and it goes into the RACF and cleans up all those rules. And hasta Lucia wouldn't want to be.
We have a couple of questions. I presume the zPRO user has to have RACF special to do this work.
That is a correct statement, and that is part of the installation of zPRO. Yes.
But that is only the zAdmin virtual machine. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah,
Just
so we don't require. Yes, we don't require all the web service have access, just the administrator.
Right, and the only way to get to use the RACF interface is through zPRO, and zPRO has its own authorization structure so that it protects you or your company from unauthorized access. So you can't just write a CGI on a web server and pass it or tell zAdmin to do funky RACF things. That's not valid.
One additional question, actually two. The first one is just orphan rules or also orphan user IDs?
Orphan user ID? You mean like a RACF entry, but it's not in the CP directory? Correct?
Probably. I think the answer there is yes.
Yes. I don't remember how I coded it.
It was apparently before yesterday.
It is, yeah. I don't remember what I had for breakfast either, so there you go. If it doesn't, it probably should. So
you might have to add that to your to-do list.
Yeah.
Since you're the zPRO guy.
Page 4 of my to-do list, yes.
Indeed. Another question, does support all ESMs? And we support RACF and VM Secure, but VM Secure doesn't have this problem. Is that correct,
No,
Jim?
it does not. It's only RACF. VM Secure, in its glorious wisdom, decided that if you delete a user ID from your system, it goes through and cleans up all the rules for that user ID. So you don't have to worry about this kind of thing.
Right, and that also answers the additional question that says, does it work with VM Secure? Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we support VM Secure, RACF, and no security, but we'll hound you like there's no tomorrow if you have no security.
Well, somebody will, yeah.
Yeah.
So can we look for rules in the security database?
Yes, indeedy you can. can. So by user ID, you can do some searching on rules. Oh, I already had mate there.
Mate that's pre-filled.
Well, let's see, Rich. Nah, dude, how about me? And there you go.
Yep.
So I've got a few rules. And you can pick and choose and delete rules right from this list. In a zPRO coming to you soonish, you'll be able to add RACF rules also.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh, that would be very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. Awesome.
So there you go. Yeah. Just do mate since I'm here. How exciting mate was. Yeah, a little more exciting. So yeah, he's got a few, as you can imagine.
Mate has a lot of things.
Yep. So it's pretty straightforward. It makes things a lot easier, especially with RACF and being able to find rule information that you need by user ID.
It sounds like way too much fun developing that.
For various values of fun, yes, I did.
Indeed.
RACF became a new 4-letter word for me.
It is for more. Yes. All right. I think we covered that one. Spool.
Spool. Yeah.
We could actually do some rudimentary spool management. Well, this isn't, we're not talking about looking at spool file yet. It's on this or the list that James has. But what we can do is spool file search. So the very first item on that display will let you look for spool files, and with various search criteria, you can look for a file on your system. It's by user class, file name, the spool files name, and you can look for files on your system.
There you go. So
this environment does have to be 4-member cluster, or certainly, obviously, you can see all of the spool files from all the members cluster, which we can quantify in the search display.
So I saw a question fly by from Artie about searching on something.
We're getting to that. That's coming up. The list that is presented here can be sorted, so you can certainly sort the list if you want to. So we can sort it by records, and you can see by records. That's one way. Another way is going to the spool usage summary, which is the last item on the list. This display, which allows you to see in various forms what we used to call the pig list, virtual machines that have that are using up a lot of spool. You can see on the top users, top files by size, files by class, and on the bottom of the display are a bunch of buttons. So you can then click on top by size and get a detailed display of the spool files by size.
And it's got a red button.
Oh, you like making those buttons red, don't you?
I just like using them. Yeah.
So from here, if you find a particularly offending spool file, you can select it and just delete it. Go ahead and delete one. Go ahead. I know you want to. And there you go. So that's part of the spool management is the ability to not only purge spool files, we can transfer them, we can toggle hold on or off. Is that system and user?
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, go. There you go.
Okay. Back in the detail display, the summary display, we can even look for dumps. Do we have any stray dumps on the system?
You know, I'm not sure we do. No, we do not.
We do
But
not.
you know
Okay.
what? Hold
Oh,
that
yeah.
thought for a
Let's see,
moment.
so James can crash or something. He's pretty good at that.
CP shutdown. Okay.
What? Wow,
Let's
that's
see if
that's
this
cool.
finds
Thanks for
what I
coming.
just did. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, look at that.
So why would it be a good idea to look for VM dumps every once in a while?
Well, because it could be code that has failed, just like you apparently did, or those dumps could be large enough where they're taking up a lot of space on the system.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of folks that well, not a lot, but a good handful of people that actually tried this out, ran the dump list, and they found a lot of dumps, and they're like, where did all these come from? Well,
And
there you go.
probably from many years ago, no doubt.
Yes. So why is it, what's the whole point in you running a report like this or keeping an eye on your spool usage? I mean, is that a big deal?
Well,
Really?
because Spool is a very integral part of the system, and you don't want Spool to fill up. So this provides you with a way to sort of look and see what's taking up all the space on the system, all the spool space on your system, and be able to clean it up with a very easy graphical interface.
And
When spool fills up, things sort of stop working to a certain extent. You can't log any more messages to the consoles, and some things get cranky when the spool fills up.
indeed, very cranky.
We do have a question about, can we get a single view of multiple systems? Are you talking about Spool?
This really is well, it's a single-ish view. It's one single report of all your members within this SSI cluster.
Well, the person asking the question doesn't actually use SSI.
Okay, so yes, if you look over here on the right side, this is zPRO's enterprise view, and it's built into zPRO, so you can be connected to multiple systems no matter where they are in the world, as long as they have zPRO running, and they talk to each other. So I've got two clusters in view of this zPRO, and if I do this usage summary report again, I get two windows to open, and you get both systems side by side or in different windows. So this the new one, the demo sys 4, is our other demo system, and you just get a report for that.
So and you can turn on and turn off, like
Right.
you had earlier. You had this other cluster turned off, so you don't need to see all of the systems. You can turn them on and turn them off.
Right.
On this control on the right hand.
And along with navigation, you have like Rich was showing, the dumps only button, or you can open the search criteria just like you would on the left side. So you've got navigation to do more stuff down here in the report. Unowned, what does that mean?
Ooh, well, that could be interesting. What would an unknown spool be? What an unknown spool file might be is virtual machine and deleted. Oh, look at this. I'm gone. It's new. And so a virtual machine gets deleted, but the spool don't get cleaned up. So what you get here is spool files that are basically orphans that are still sitting in spool from virtual machines that don't exist.
Correct, and that happens a lot too, surprisingly. Again, like security or RACF rules, folks don't realize that if a user ID is getting deleted, it's good hygiene to make sure that their reader, punch, and print are cleaned out first. And directory manager tools sometimes do that, but not always. So you've got to watch it on your own.
We do have a question that says, can you view multiple SSIs and non-SSI systems? Yes.
Absolutely.
We're here, these systems, right, they have to be two SSI clusters, but you can mix and match. You can either be SSI, non-SSI, or both.
Right.
And also, is there a count limit on the cluster? Referring to the column on the right-hand side where the systems are showing? I'm not sure. Yes. Okay.
No.
So is there a limit to what you can see on the right-hand side?
No, you can, if you're if you're managing and have access to 24 different systems, you can connect them in, or 60. Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
So yeah, the again, the unowned spool files, good hygiene, clean them up. You can transfer them to somebody else so they can be looked at, reviewed, and then, you know, if there's anything important you don't want to lose, or you just purge them.
Yep, a very cool feature. Help you clean up somewhat of orphan entries and keep the spool fresh and tidy.
So the spool filling or getting full, do we have a solution for them that they can maybe say alert?
We
If it's
absolutely
getting...
do. Part of the product suite is a function called zAlert. And zAlert, among a lot of other things, can provide notifications or alert messages if the spool fills up. Any data that is displayable in zBPS from a performance standpoint, including spool, page, CPU utilization, anything, zAlert can provide notifications for.
Sweet.
So
All right.
let's talk about directory management.
Directory management. So this would be your VM directory, CP directory. And zPRO gives you some options in here to manage different parts of your directory. And so far I've added a few things that most people may not necessarily do much with, but sometimes you have to, and it'd be nice to be able to do it very quickly and easily. So like managing your what profiles, what includes you have in your CP directory. And this just, you know, a simple list tells you what includes you have and how many other user or identity entries are referencing that profile. So you can go through like this IBM DFLT2. I could delete it if I chose to because there's nobody using it. You can also take a look at it and see what it's about. Maybe it was set up for something special, which in fact this one was because I was messing around with it. So it just gives you a way to manage, you know, a little bit, one aspect of your CP directory from the profile reference. You can also list references to the particular profile to see who is, you know, has that in their definition, and you can view those directories also. And before Mr. Barlow, you know, chimes up and says that's a security issue, this too is an administrator function, a high-level administrator function. Dare I say, this is God mode. This is definitely a authorization setting that gives you access to the entire system. So.
And that goes for all these administration functions.
Yes, absolutely. And you can pick and choose these things through zPRO's administration or authorization settings. So if you didn't want people messing with your RACF at all, you can turn those off. Even if you're an admin, you can turn off the RACF interface or panels or functions. I know there's sites that have specific teams that deal with security, and the systems programmer is not allowed to touch the security, so you can turn them on and off.
Right.
All right.
So let's talk about storage pools.
Storage pools. This one, real quick, I'm gonna skip storage pools and leave that for last, and just real quick show user pool management. This is really out there. A lot of people don't know about user pools, but they are kind of cool once you start learning about them and what you can do with them. A user pool is really just a very simple CP directory entry that allows you to define a prefix and a certain number of them that can be used. So in this case, my SSL pool, and this is pretty common on most systems, I can have anywhere from 1 to 5 on at a time. So SSL 0001 through SSL 0005 can be x-autologged on my system to be used for SSL services. And zPRO has his own user ID pool for worker. And in this particular system, we have up to 10 allowed, but this is a very small entry in your CP directory. I don't want to view the profile. I want to view the pool. Ah, you dummy. Hey, that worked. So this basically is the entry. It's a couple lines in your directory, and yet it allows you to access and use up to 10 of these user IDs. It's pretty.
And you can certainly modify that if you need to.
Yes, yeah, you can change. You can change it. Yeah. I did it again. See, consistency is everything. So if I really didn't need 10, I wanted 5. I just do a quick update, and poof, 5. So yeah, zPRO lets you manipulate, and oh look, another red button. So so that's real quick on user pool. Storage pool management. This is getting a little more fun. We heard a lot from our customers about dealing with storage pools and how fun it is, especially with Dermate. So we put this in. We zPRO'd the heck out of that. This very simply lists all your pools that are defined in your directory manager. On this system, this is using zDirect, which is the built-in directory manager in zPRO. So you don't actually need a directory manager. You can just install zPRO and use the internal one. But it works very similar in Dermate and in VM Secure. You'll see the same kind of things. So you can list all your pools. You can do a volume list. So well, I'll just go ahead and open it. Lists all the details of those volumes and their status on your systems. So you can see what size and details are going on. Nice little total at the bottom to see, okay, this particular pool, I've got 158 gig of storage defined, 23 volumes. And if Greg from somewhere is listening, you know, hey, look, 23 volumes. So you can very easily see all the details from your storage pools. The other thing
it is the new thing you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, well, that's one of them. Yes. Just that one worked. This is the one I want. Real quick, I want to show that zPRO will help you determine also if you've got little bumps in the road. So you might have a storage pool with volumes defined, but some of your members don't necessarily have them online or accessible or you know, whatever. So it's going to show you status. If any of your members respond incorrectly, you'll see them listed, so you can take care of it.
We have a question that are these stored pools associated with the dirt regions in the control?
Yes. Not in this case because I don't use Dermate, but yes, absolutely. The thing I was working on recently, as in like a few hours ago, is this free list. This can come in handy if you're going to build Linux servers. Say your Linux servers are DB2 or Oracle or, you know, just huge Linux servers, and I need to know, do I have 10 mod 9 volumes available that I can build a server? You can just do a free list, and it's going to show you what volumes you have free, what volumes have nothing allocated on them. Right. So in this particular case, I can't use this storage group because I don't have enough volumes, not free volumes. I can add more if I choose to. And it's going to go through and look and see, hey, do you have any free DASD, unallocated, not labeled, on your system that you could use? That's what this list, this drop down will let you select from. Or if you've already pre-labeled, a lot of folks will pre-label, like they'll do XX and then the real device number as the label. You can just type in whatever volumes you want to find and add to that storage pool.
Excellent.
Quick and easy.
Very nice.
Again, this is you know, how many licks does it take to get to the center kind of thing. Adding a volume, especially if you're adding it from, you know, scratch, takes multiple steps, and you have to know what those steps are and do them correctly. Especially with domain, it takes a few extra little, you know, hand waving and whatnot to get it all set up and ready. But zPRO handles all that for you. You don't have to worry about any of it.
We have another question in the chat. Can we show a full allocation map for a pool?
A full allocation map for a pool.
I'm going to guess this is which virtual machines have mini disks on all the volumes in a pool. Yeah, like this.
Oh. Gosh, wouldn't that be cool? So you could do, you know, select one, you could list all the volumes, and then click map and see that.
Oh, well, look at that.
Dun, dun, dun. So yes. So the first response I gave to one of our customers that was asking, hey, I want to see all the volumes that have no data defined at all, a free list. Well, just run this report and look for gaps that are the same size as the volume. Well, that's boring. So
I imagine them saying exactly that.
Yes, exactly. That takes too much time. I'd rather push a button and let it do it for me. So that's what we did. So yeah, definitely you can map. And I ran the map without selecting a volume. That maps the pool. And if you select a volume, it'll just map that volume.
Excellent.
And you know, you could get fancy and say, "Oh, I want to map 2 volumes." Well, it's going to map both of them, and yes, it opens in 2 windows, but that's the way it is. Yeah. Oops, and makes one big. Okay.
Okay, we have less than a minute.
Yes. Schedule it.
Function which is schedule function housekeeping. I'll just to that we could provide customers with this ability. We'll notice here on the list of scheduled events that there are a few items here in the light blue with this light blue background. Those are the internal zPRO functions. You can't touch those. But all the other items on the list are scheduled tasks that have been created by us to run on our systems. The background, adding an event here on the bottom here. Oh, look at you hitting the red button already. The adding an event will allow you to create a new event. You give it a name, you give it a run date. The date can be the current day, or it can be a set of days or dates. If you want to select from the list of days, you can run it on certain days of the week. You can set it to run on a certain time. You can set it to run certain often. every so often. Yeah, I can talk. Yes, it is getting close to happy hour. That's why I can't talk. Excuse me. And if you go ahead and process the request, it will add it to the list. And apparently I get sent a message that indicates that it's happy hour. What is the little orange salmon colored, are you done yet? That one right there, end of day.
That means it was paused.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, the screen is pretty wide. In fact, I'm just gonna get rid of that, so we can see it all.
Okay, very
It's
cool.
a lot of data there. Yeah, it's a paused event. So if you have an event that you want to just put on hold and not run for some period of time, yeah.
So you can see here the events that are in queue. Those are the ones that are scheduled to run at some point in the future.
Right.
Right. In the which color?
Which what?
The ones at the bottom here, the purplish color. Those are that don't run on the current system.
Right. Those are other member ones.
And
So.
thanks to everybody for making awful. He's getting just brutal.
My pleasure.
From the
So
you can pause, zoom, and edit, and event. Everybody should bring up this the schedule screen again, right?
Yep.
There we go. So I can modify it if I want to. And as James likes to do, is he likes to do. So you don't want to event more, and it is James is awesome. What's this? You could delete it if you don't need it. Cool.
all right.
Do we have anything that's coming up since we're a little over time? Do you have anything that's coming up in the future here for ZV?
Yeah, a little bit. A few things that aren't even on the ZVM administration side, more Linux administration. In fact, I think I can show you something like this. This is a little command interface window. You can do Linux commands, get responses. Let's see, ls-alter, just, have fun with your Linux. This is not a console, but it is a command interface. Lets you do, commands to your Linux machines.
So you don't need to actually log on to your Linux machine to do this.
That is correct. You can do it directly from zPRO.
Excellent.
So that's coming. I'm, in fact, in the middle of packaging that one up. Let's see, user ID management. So full user ID management also will be in that directory management navigation. So you can list and view and do all kinds of stuff with other user IDs. You can already do that with your servers, but I want to add, full directory management for other users. Yeah.
Excellent. What about the vSwitches?
Absolutely, yeah. vSwitches are another fun place to deal with as far as defining new vSwitches, managing, editing, changing your vSwitches, deleting your vSwitches, etc. Yes, that's also coming soon to a zPRO near you. Resource pool settings. CP, in other words, CP performance, not to confuse the word pool with the 14 other places that it's used throughout VM. So yeah, the CP performance resource pools, to be able to manage all of those, will be added as a panel-driven type thing with zPRO, which has a lot of impact with performance management. Indeed. So imagine that. And then last but not anywhere near least, editing files. So we are building interface to allow you to edit files from zPRO, which should be interesting. So for example, if you needed to update your system config and add new volumes that you just defined and put into your directory manager, you can do that someday, soon.
Someday.
Ish. Yes.
I think we've covered everything.
Last but not least,
there's more.
Yeah, there's a lot of times people will ask me, how does zPRO do all that stuff? And my answer is, well, it does it very well, but I thought I would show you. This is my sandbox system where I develop a lot of stuff. And I'll flip a switch and show you the inner workings of zPRO. There you go.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you attending.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Click and Clack. I mean, James and Rich.